Jai Gurudev. Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om. Sada Shiva Samarambham. Vashishantaracharanathinam. Tasmadacharyaparyantam. Vande Guru Parampara. Somebody is indicating that the sound is not so good. Let me use that extra help. Okay. So, have you been keeping up with the routine of exercises, meditation? I hope so. And yesterday we talked about how knowledge and food, so the spiritual practices help each other, complement each other to the seeker to move ahead in life. So far, we have also seen how faith is very important. Faith is the first step we all have taken and we all have in ourselves. Now we are getting on to something very interesting today and tomorrow. When you will start reading this Maharamayana or your Vaisitha or Vaisitha, in the beginning itself there is a line, and this line was what got me hooked into this wisdom or onto this wisdom, whatever. We all have seen sky, correct? And whomsoever you ask, what is the color of the sky? How is the sky? Everyone will say it's blue in color. Now, this particular line in this scripture says, like the blueness of the sky, this world as it appears is an optical illusion. When I read this line, it was so powerful for me. I was literally awestruck it had. The second part, obviously, I could not fathom when I started to read this book. But the first part I knew. I have studied even in school days. I think probably 7th or 8th class, that there is nothing called sky. And what appears to be blue is just a play of light rays getting reflected by those particles, and so it is an optical illusion. And I kept on wondering that what an example it is. The world as it appears is an optical illusion, but we feel this world is so true, such a fact for all of us. So the master knows that it is not easy for the seeker, someone who has started to walk the path, to realize that this world is not what it appears to be. So there is a parallel the master has drawn. Now, I want all of you, to think about the illusions you have experienced in life. Very visible, very much there, physically visible, not that subtle things I'm talking about. Like Can you think of more illusions? You can write in the chat box also, comment also. You all do realize that there is nothing called sky. When there is nothing called sky, how can it be either blue or any other color? It is simply vacuum. And vacuum cannot have color because vacuum is not a particle. So the appearance of the blueness is an optical illusion. Can you think of more illusions you have seen in life? Like many people know about this Mrik Krishna. What is it called in English? What is it called? Mrik Krishna in English? Someone stranded in desert feels that there is water there. Yeah. Mirage, correct, correct. There is mirage. So this is an example of optical illusion. What else can we think of? The appearance of sun rising or setting. We all know that sun neither sets nor rises, but it appears that sun is rising and setting. And this is how we talk. Look, the sun is rising. Look, the sun is setting. And despite knowing this, that is, it is just the movement of earth which is creating this illusion, we forgot. We kept on repeating the same illusion that the sun is rising or setting, and ultimately we landed up in believing that the sun rises in the east or the sun sets in the west direction, though it is not true. Can you think of more illusions? Just think, what can I think? Have you ever seen yourself in the mirror? When you look at yourself in the mirror, the right part appears to be the left, left part appears to be the right. But we don't believe in it. We may get confused, but we don't believe. We know that what we are seeing, what I am seeing in the mirror is not what it is. Now, this is the most important part I want all of us to remember. What? That what we are seeing, what we are looking is not what is. This is not a fact. It is just an illusion. I'm giving some very beautiful examples from daily life which I have noticed. Like, have you ever seen anything, a cloth or piece of paper, colored piece of paper or cloth? Suppose something is appearing as green or something is appearing as orange. Do you can you remember what science says about this? Science says that piece of paper or cloth which is appearing as green is not actually green. That piece of surface is absorbing each and every color present in the light except green. It is simply reflecting green, and what we say is this is green. Suppose like this piece is absorbing all the colors, so it has all the colors except green. But what we call this as green. So this is something very interesting. What appears as green is not actually green. What appears as orange or red or blue is not actually that color. It has all the colors except that blue, orange, red. Are you getting what I'm saying? This is how one wakes up to first level of reality that what I am seeing is probably not truth, is not a fact. If you remember, we talked about how atoms are empty, how atoms are 99.999% space. If an atom is mostly space to the extent of more than 99%, how can anything made up of atoms be solid, liquid, or gas? But this appears like solid. We feel this as solid or something as liquid or something as gas. The point is what appears to us, to our senses, is not what is. The capability, the capacity of our sense is very limited. What does this indicate? Trying to understand this world through our senses, we will always be rooted in illusion. And the more we confirm, reaffirm the illusion on daily basis, the more the mind gets settled into illusion, gets very gross. And when the subtle things come, it is very difficult to accept, very difficult to perceive. Even if a seeker just realizes this belief that everything what is appearing as it is, the world is just an optical illusion. Just imagine the wall I'm looking at, the chair I'm sitting, this piece of cloth is mostly space, but I can't see through my eyes. The senses cannot perceive the truth, and we are trying to understand this world through our senses. The senses are the major perceiving mechanism we have been given to. But is it only the senses we have got to understand the world? No. Beyond the senses is our intellect, more powerful, more subtle than the senses. Like when we look at the sun as setting, the moment I become aware, the moment one becomes aware that no, this is not true, the intellects have come into play, and the intellect says the sun neither sets nor it rises. Now, this is something very deep and very interesting. We need to pay attention. The capacity of this body, because of it being so gross, is very much limited, and the gross cannot go to the subtle level. Human existence is made up of the gross also and subtle also. If you might know, there are seven major dimensions to human existence. First is body, then there is breath, or even better to say prana. Prana is the subtle life force energy. Then comes the mind, the perceiving mechanism. Then comes the intellect, the fourth dimension, the discriminatory mechanism in us. Then comes the memory, the storehouse of our experiences, our concepts, and our ideas. The dimension of knowing that I exist, this I, which is called ego, is the sixth dimension of our existence. And then comes the seventh dimension called the consciousness, the being itself. Now, the body is very gross, the breath is both gross and subtle because the breath can be felt. And that is how it becomes the bridge between the gross and the subtle existence. Gross existence body, in between is the breath, the prana actually, and then the subtle aspects of mind, intellect, memory, ego, and being. As we move on from the mind and as we move on from the body and breath, as the subtlety of dimension increases, the perceiving mechanism becomes more and more subtle. This we need to nurture. If we are grounded always in what our mind says, what the body is feeling, what the mind is perceiving, then the subtlety becomes more gross. We are not giving a chance of the subtle aspects of our own being. We are not trusting the mechanisms which are more subtle, the dimensions which are more subtle than the mind to bring us the information. At the level of body, how much can you grow? Maybe you can grow muscles, maybe you can strengthen your muscle, maybe you can clock the timer as like 10 seconds for 100 meters running. But is it the body really running? Is the body itself capable to achieve such feats, pulling a weight, climbing mountains, or there is something more to it? If you will look at this, you will realize that it is not the body which has such capability. It is the subtle aspects of our existence which literally carries the body, which makes the body work, which makes the body run faster, which makes the body work faster, harder. And that is how, when you pay attention to the subtle aspects, you realize that body has its importance. That's why in ancient times, still all the scriptures will say this body is a beautiful gift, is the temple of the being. The being itself resides in this temple, but it is just like getting lost in the walls of the temple, house, or your place of worship. The walls are not important. It has some importance, but the space inside, the being that resides inside that walls is very important. The space inside has got value, not the wall. Suppose if you go to buy a house, do you buy the walls or you buy the space inside? Which carries more weight? The space. Everyone says this much of a square feet, this much of a square yard or meter, and this is how big my house is. Nobody says that my house has 12 walls, 3 roofs. Nobody describes the house like this. And this is the maturity in understanding. This is how you walk ahead in maturity. This body has its limitations, but the subtle aspects of our existence, if attended to, can take us to the subtle understanding of all this 80% which is all invisible, invisible to our own senses. Are you understanding what is I'm trying to convey to you? But how will you attend to the subtle aspects of your being? And this is what said Vasishtha is talking to Lord Rama. The Rama, you have seen this world. You have seen many things. You have felt many things. The moment we come to feeling something, it is beyond the senses. You have Rama, you have paid attention to what you have felt. And that's how you are realizing the world as not what it is, but we are still not clear actually what it is. For that, says Vasishtha is guiding Lord Rama how to deal with the gross world and how to go about in the subtle world. For the subtle world, to deal with the subtle world, you need to have a very meditative, very aware mind, and this aware mind, this awareness comes from meditation, pranayama, attending to the prana, meditation, attending to your own existence, your own being. Just like we keep on thinking about the grossness of the world, grossness of existence, and the mind becomes grosser and grosser. The more you attend to the subtle aspects of existence, the existence, your existence itself becomes very much ready to acknowledge the subtle. But for that, you need to have a daily routine of practice. It may happen in a day or may take time, nobody knows. But if done daily, meditation, pranayama, breathing exercises, and what does the physical exercises do? It makes this temple of physical existence very strong, able to handle the hold the beautify this subtle aspect of existence. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yesterday we talked about why we need to have a daily routine of exercises, breathing techniques, pranayama. If you have learned Sudarshan Kriya, and of course meditation. Two times meditation, twice a day is very good to begin with. And this is must to go deep into knowledge. Deep into knowledge means what? To go deep into your own subtle dimensions of existence. I'm not talking about something going into some other space or anywhere else, but our own, my own, your own subtle aspect of existence. And if you do not nurture, if you do not pay attention to that subtle aspect of existence, the whole life will remain so gross and life will keep bringing misery again and again and again. Why? Because the masters have already told the world as it appears is simply an extended illusion, something which is more than 99% space appears as solid. How can anybody be happy with untruth? It is not possible. And anything that you believe in, for your faith to really move on, you need to satisfy your own intelligence, your own logic. That is why I'm elaborating so much about all this. If your intelligence, if your intellect is not satisfied, it will not let you cross itself. And if you cannot cross your intelligence, you cannot perceive, which is much more subtle than intelligence. Let not your body, let not your mind and intelligence be an obstacle to you, be an obstacle for you to explore the subtlest levels of dimension, subtlest level of your own existing being. So whatever you believe in must be able to satisfy your intelligence. Now what we have talked today, we all need to ponder upon it. When everything is what we see is made up of atoms, how can anything be solid or liquid or gas? And we don't need to be so serious about it. We need to be just be aware. So far, what I have been considering as truth, what what I have been perceiving as truth is simply an illusion, image, a mirror image. Like we see ourselves in a mirror, this might be a mirror image. Who knows? This might not be, for sure, it is not what it is actually. And our senses, our mind cannot see or perceive the truth without any help. Like we have also talked about how we need an electron microscope if we want to go deep into our own cells, body cells. We need an X-ray machine to be able to eligible what what lies beneath this muscles and tissue. So that skill, that extra ability to go beyond the gross comes by attending to the subtle. The more you will keep attending to the subtle, your existence will become even more subtle and you will be able to perceive things which are beyond gross also. Okay, so far today for this, tomorrow something even more beautiful about the story of say Shukadeva. Amazing story. And there is something someone has written in the comment section. Let me see. Maybe everything what we see as physical, because everything is 99% of the space. I think I have already explained the whole thing that we cannot take what our senses are telling us, conveying us as ultimate truth. So far, which we have done all along our life. I'm not saying you start saying that this all everything is just false. No, but be aware, become aware. Just like looking at the rising sun or setting sun, we become aware that the sun is neither setting or rising. It is the mind, it is the senses which is perceiving something, and the truth is something beyond. The moment you become aware of something, a truth which is beyond what is very much apparent to you, you you make yourself ready to see or go beyond the apparent world. So, take care. We'll meet again tomorrow, 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So, good day.